Court, the movie podcast where Sean
and Mampy
watch shit, talk shit, and most importantly, eat shit. We are the law.
And guess what we saw?
Paddington in Peru.
The third installment of the delightful series that we both cherish in our hearts.
Paddington in Peru.
Oh, finally, he's made it to Peru.
What's his name? Who's the guy who plays Paddington?
Oh, I know him, but I don't know his name.
He's not Benedict Cumberbatch, obviously, but it's like
similar.
Tumtator.
Tubular
One of those English names.
Taki, mama.
His voice has gotten quite low.
Yeah.
You can tell he's aged a little bit since the last movie because he's like, "Hello, I am Paddington."
I am Paddington.
Sounds like James Earl Jones.
Yeah,
sounds like our James Earl Jones.
That's who they wanted at first, but they,
well, he was dead.
He died. Yeah,
that was one of the big problems.
They were like, "What if we?" Shoot.
Though I guess with now they would just do it in AI.
Yeah, exactly,
and it would just probably be fine.
Yeah, it would be something.
Honestly, AI voice acting will probably seem exactly the same.
Yeah,
which is a really scary part.
Yeah. Once they get the emotive, I feel like it still can't really do emotions that well.
It's fucking weird, yeah.
If it can ever do that, then we're doomed.
I've talked to you about AI commercials, and we will talk about the movie at some point. And there was one that was playing on some podcast I listened to every time. So I heard it like 4 times before I was like, wait, that's not a human.
Yeah.
If you're like not really listening to it, it sounds like a regular, "Hey, how are you doing?
Hello.
I'm here to tell you about Franklin. Franklin is a new friend you can be friends with on your friend time." But there were like some like highs to lows that were just completely unnatural. It was like, "Franklin is your best friend."
Yeah.
I was like, no, he's not. I don't want to be friends with Franklin. He sounds terrifying.
Any of those like AI voice models, if you like plug in too much, like the same letter a bunch of times, it just like completely degrades and it's like.
But we watched Paddington in Peru.
We did.
And before we talk about the plot, I'd like to ask you, Mampy.
Yeah.
What did you think about this guy, Paddington, and his new adventures in Peru?
Well, you know me. You know I'm a huge fan of Paddington 1.
I do.
Huge fan. And as you know, the only movie better than Paddington 1 is, of course, Paddington 2.
Paddington 2.
Now, the question is anything better than Paddington 2? After seeing Paddington in Peru, I have to say, no, nothing is better than Paddington 2.
Paddington 2 is the best ever.
The best ever. I would say that Paddington in Peru is a perfectly fun-filled adventure, but does not quite reach the heights I had hoped.
Yes.
And that is to be expected of a third film.
Yeah, sure.
That happens.
I totally agree. It felt like Toy Story 4 to me, almost.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite as good as Toy Story 4, because I thought they sort of nailed it, even though I didn't want it to exist.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, this is fine.
Yeah, all right.
But it doesn't need to be. They did their very best, I think.
Yes.
But it's still not the same thing.
Yeah,
It doesn't feel the same thing.
It doesn't feel the same, and there's some reasons we'll get into as we go along that really make it not feel the same. That didn't quite, for me, work, but that's okay, things happen. Like we said, people,
and
life.
It's tough with a movie like this, where the first two are... They're not exactly the same movie, but they're sort of the same movie.
Yeah.
They're just like variations on a theme, and this too is the same thing, except it's in a jungle.
Yes.
And like, there's just like only so much you can do with that sort of thing.
Very true.
And in the last one, it was Hugh Grant, who is like one of the great, interesting men in movies right now, or maybe ever. He's like just so, even in Heretic, which I thought was whatever, fine.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
He killed it.
And even in like the 13 seconds when he's in this,
yes.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler, sorry.
Yeah, whatever. I
don't think anyone's that
big of a spoiler.
Yeah.
But he's amazing.
Yeah, I was like, oh,
And it's kind of like,
back.
Maybe he should have been a bad guy again. Well, I mean, he shouldn't have.
Yeah.
But
I was like, maybe they'll do a
great
thing where they bring back, Nicole Kidman, Hugh Jackman, they'll all team up to finally take this bear down. Maybe in 4.
Yeah. But the plot is as follows.
Tell me about it.
There's a little guy named Paddington. He's a bear. He's got a family named the Browns, and they are mostly the same people from the other movies. And Paddington gets a letter from his aunt. Wait, it's his fake mother?
Yes.
What does he call her?
Oh, I forget the exact name.
Does he call her aunt?
I think it's aunt, because Uncle Pastucho.
Oh, yeah.
Aunt, man, my brain has completely erased her name.
We'll probably figure it out.
Yeah.
But his aunt is like, hey, well, actually, she doesn't say it. A nun, played by Olivia Colman, sends him a message and says, hey, your aunt is sad. She's just been acting depressed, so you should come visit her. And they just decide, what the hell, let's all do it.
Let's go to Peru.
And they go to Peru to visit her at an old folks' home for bears, which is cool.
Yeah.
And when they arrive at the old folks' home for bears, they find that she's not there. Where is Paddington's aunt?
Where is
and
this
also,
bear?
Why is there such a weird map in the room? Where does this map lead? Oh. And it's difficult to spoil this too much because it goes in the way you would expect it to based on those words. Like they go and they look for the thing, and there's antagonists and protagonists. It sort of follows a very similar path to the other ones.
Yes. Because
there's people switching sides, and there's people you've seen before in other movies, and there's that kind of stuff. But to refrain from spoiling it, I will say, it just goes that way.
Yeah,
he's there. They go through the jungle and try to search, and they also try to find out, or as often happens when you're on a journey with your family, you realize how much you really need them.
Yeah, you just love them. You go, wow.
If you like your family.
Yeah.
If you don't like your family, usually it gets worse.
You figure out why you really don't like them. You go, oh,
man, God. that has been the end of many a relationship. It's just like going on a long trip.
Yeah.
Even a day trip. You're just like, wow. I know that at some point I liked you, but I cannot do this anymore.
I've crossed a threshold. And then it's kind of proof if you go on a long one and you're like, oh, okay, this maybe wasn't pristine, but it didn't destroy anything, so maybe there's
it's so exhausting to drive anywhere and to pick up luggage and that kind of shit. If you don't yell at each other or just even get testy with each other, then that's magic.
That's wild, yeah. That's an amazing moment. We go, oh, dang.
Hey, we don't hate each other.
Whoa, wait a minute.
We will at some point.
Yes.
In the manner of a relationship, but right now we don't hate each other.
You ride the waves of like and dislike, and you're like...
I'm pretending to be on a horse for the listeners. Riding a wave. Now, in my mime, are the reins attached to a wave? Or am I riding a horse on the waves?
On the waves.
Is the horse
that would be pretty
like Triple X style running on the waves?
I feel like I would like to see the horse on the waves. I think that would be pretty sick.
Triple X the movie.
And a big wave could form, and you could run. You're running towards the wave that's forming, and you gallop up it, and then burst through it.
Kind of sounds cool.
That'd be cool.
Well, from now on, we're going to spoil it.
Yeah, you better watch out.
If you have any fear of being spoiled, please leave now and come back once you've seen Paddington, Peru. And just before that, if you are a Paddington person, you'll probably think this is fine, because we both really like Paddington, and it wasn't such a disappointment where it was like, fuck, I wish I'd never seen that, like a Crystal Skull or something, where you're just like, fuck.
Why did that get made?
That, fuck, I'm releasing that from my brain, and I'm not considering it a part of the other movies.
Do you think that Crystal Skull was better or worse than the newest one? I don't know if I remember what you said.
I
think I'd rather watch the newest one. That's my
I think I would rather watch the newest one as well.
Gut feeling.
But I truly haven't gotten through Crystal Skull since the first time I watched it. I watched it and I was so completely disappointed.
That's not
because of having like an entire life of being with Indiana Jones and the characters and really loving those movies, and like certainly with like Raiders, actually all of them, just watching them a million times.
Yeah.
And also being like, well, I mean, this is Spielberg. Everybody's back.
It's gotta be good.
And it truly is one of his worst movies.
It just didn't work out.
Fucking sucks. It's a stupid idea, too.
Yeah, just not working.
Indiana Jones doesn't, spoiler alert, look for aliens. He doesn't find aliens.
It's a little...
He finds God shit. And frankly, if you've run out of God shit, well, then don't make the movie.
That's how I feel. When you've run out of things, why are you forcing it? Just let the characters rest. Just go, good night.
You found the Holy Grail, which is like the ultimate thing to find in a movie almost. I mean, pretty much.
Yeah, what could beat that?
Like, other than like in like a sort of magical movie, in a movie where like there was God and he was all powerful and his blood, whatever. That's about as high as it can go.
Yeah.
Like, unless, if you're in Marvel World or Magic World, you can learn spells and shit. But in this world, it's basically it.
That's it.
You can just stop.
Yeah, no more. We don't need any more stuff.
I mean, imagine just having Connery come out, knock it out of the park, and you're like, let's do one more. Stupid. I mean, even fucking what's his Frenchy tune? The cartoon guy that he made. That's like an Indiana Jones movie, and it's much better.
Tintin?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a much better Indiana Jones movie than Crystal Skull.
I agree.
Okay, so we're not talking about either of those
but we
movies.
had to have a little moment. We needed a little moment.
We had to. But now we're spoiling.
Yeah, now it's Paddington and Peru. Spoilers.
And we're never talking about another movie again.
Spoilington? Yeah, no more.
Spoilington in Peru.
Peru.
What's the best part of this movie for you? Preferably with a big spoiler.
Oh, yeah, this is
What's
a huge
the B-Flame
spoiler.
Euro?
My B-Flame Euro of this picture is when they're all gathered in the boat. The Brown family.
Yes,
it happens to be white. The Brown family.
It happens.
It does. It's the reverse of the curb bit of the white. No, it isn't the reverse. They're called the blacks. I forgot.
Yeah, good
it's
bit.
the same. It's the same thing. Well, no, it is the reverse. It's brown and white.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Okay, my brain was really not connecting anything there.
I remember a Bloodhound Gang.
Oh.
Sadly, I remember a Bloodhound Gang lyric that is, I'm not black like Barry White. I am white like Frank Black is.
Oh, wow.
Pretty good.
I walked into a bar this weekend and someone went, "Hey, Jack Black." And I went, cool.
To you?
Yeah, I was like, all right. I just didn't respond.
Weird.
I was like, well, all right.
I mean, you bear a passing resemblance to many famous people
To me,
by virtue of the fact that you have big hair.
Yeah.
So you can kind of say any big hair person.
Big hair person. Hey, big
but
hair.
You don't look at all like Jack
That's
Black.
what I'm like.
Not in the face. I mean, mostly because he is the most pale person.
Yeah.
Like, that's his thing, is to be incredibly pale.
He's very, very pale.
And with all due respect, and I hate to bring it up, especially, in Trump's America, but you are not pale.
No. No matter how much they want me to be, I'll never be as pale as Jack Black.
Yes, Black. I guess he could switch it to Jack Black is if they redid this song. Ooh. I am white like Jack Black is.
Ooh, that's nice.
Or Jack. Wait. Okay, never mind. Never mind.
Anyway,
I will say no more.
No more. But I shall speak. The Brown family is on the boat, and they're learning about this bracelet that his aunt had.
Yes.
I still have no idea. Is it Susie? No. Aunt Selena? Aunt
Tingle?
I don't know. But
I guess I could just look it up. I'll look it up as you search.
There we go. I like this. This is some teamwork. They find out her little bracelet is like the key to El Dorado or something like that. And Paddington goes, El Dorado? You mean, and it flashes to this fried chicken place in England called El Dorado. It's like Paddington and Jonathan's the boy of the family just sitting outside of it, and I thought that was a great bit. That was really nice.
Good. It's really funny.
They're like,
Aunt
no,
Lucy.
Aunt Lucy. There we go.
Is her name?
I was like, why can I not?
That was so
this?
easy.
Lucy.
Aunt Lucy.
Lucy.
Oh, now it won't let me go back to my notes.
Oh,
computers, aren't they magic?
No.
Okay.
But yeah, that part got me, and I liked it.
That part's really good.
Yeah, I went, oh, that was a nice bit.
I sort of have the opposite end of the spectrum.
Ooh.
I have quite a sad part.
Oh, okay.
And Paddington is, in fact, known for both. That's how they really get you, is by being kind of lovely and funny and sweet, and also by being quite... not always sad, but they definitely tease you with the potential for great bad things to happen.
Yes.
So, one of my favorites is Mr. Paddington has been looking for his Aunt Lucy, and he's walking around in the woods. At some point, he gets separated from the whole family, and he's had like a slow battle with... why can't I remember any person's name? He's a Hispanic gentleman.
Antonio Banderas.
Yes, Antonio Banderas.
The hunter.
Yes, his name is the hunter. And sorry, please forgive me, everyone. And he, the whole time, they've been going based on this idea that if Paddington is ever lost or he needs any help, he can simply roar, and his Aunt Lucy will come to find him. And obviously that doesn't really work in England, but they're back in Peru, and he starts to do it. And when he roars, he hears her roar back the whole time, and that's how he's locating her.
Follow the roar.
And at some point, he's gotten to what he thinks is the X on the map, essentially. He's gotten to the end, and he roars again, and he realizes that his roar is an echo off of the rocks. And it's rough, man.
That was oh, dang.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to do some crazy, messed up ending. I was like, oh, God.
And I mean, it's part of the strength of this movie, and all of the movies, but especially the other ones, that there are always there's many moments where you think it could go all the way bad.
Yeah, it's like, dang.
People almost die very often in these movies, which is good. But,
I mean, there's a part where Paddington is strapped to the wheel of the ship, and he's rolling around. I was like, if he falls in the water, he is going to die. He's
that's a really good part.
Yeah, it's so funny though. But yeah, I think this one nailed all the the little gags again, all the physical humor, lots of fun stuff. I don't think they quite hit the peak of the second one with the barbershop scene. That's just
the barbershop
unbeatable. Yeah, but I did like the stuff with the captain's wheel popping off. It was just so
really
funny.
It's
that's awesome.
It's also like a cool movie full of illusions. Yeah. Like it's, got a little bit of Fitzcarraldo in there. I mean, it's got a little bit of a lot of different Werner Herzog movies in there.
Ooh, yeah.
It obviously has some of Puss in Boots in there.
Yes,
since he's essentially playing the same character often.
This was kind of a dream, this moment, because it's like Paddington and Antonio Banderas are kind of off on their own little adventure for most of the movie. And it was like getting to see my two favorite animated characters in one room. I went, wow, this is awesome. They could be
best buddies.
And his character, Antonio Banderas, is kind of similar to Puss in Boots in The Last Wish. Because he's got all these like ancestors that he's like talking to. I was like, oh, that's kind of an interesting parallel between those movies.
I'm trying to find the old lady now. What is
the old lady. The old lady.
You know what I mean?
Granny?
Is that just
Grandma?
her name?
I don't remember. Oh, isn't it like Miss something? Like,
I mean, I'm looking at the IMDb, and it's still not very helpful.
You're like, what?
Top cast is 48 people? Jesus
That's
Christ.
A lot of people in the movie.
Fuck off.
I forget her name.
She has to be high up there, right?
She played kind of a lesser role in this one.
That's true.
She's usually pretty front and center. Sean is deep in this, looking through, researching. Pulling.
I may never know. It's some old lady.
Sally? No, it's not Sally.
Is it Mrs. Bird?
Mrs. Bird, that's Mrs. Bird, yep. That's
Mrs. Bird? Okay, perfect. Okay.
Because
I will need to talk about her briefly.
Yes, please.
Everyone has gone into the jungle except Mrs. Bird and Olivia Colman playing the nun. A very sneaky nun.
Sneaky, suspicious.
She's up to something, yes. Very suspicious. And there's one moment that I really loved where Mrs. Bird is kind of wandering around looking at shit, and she sees like a red glowing light.
Yes.
And behind an organ.
Yeah.
And she's kind of like, what's going on there? You have to picture all of them with British accents.
Yes, please.
Which is much funnier.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Bird is like, what's going on behind there? And the nun is like, well, it's just a secret room, but we don't let people in there. And Mrs. Bird is like, what do you mean it's a secret room? It seems pretty suspicious. And then the nun says, it's just a secret room behind an organ and there's nothing suspicious about it.
Yeah, I love that. That did get
a really solid joke.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And she's like, that's the second time you've used suspicious. And she goes, well, the Lord works in suspicious ways. I was like, that's awesome.
It's a good bit.
Yeah, that was a really good bit. In general, I loved her, and I thought she did a good job. She always
Olivia Colman is awesome. And she's like another one of these people who I think at some point, because she did a few dramatic roles, now has to be in only dramatic roles.
Yeah.
Or at least only the ones that we get. I'm sure she's in plenty of British movies that I don't see where she's doing funny stuff.
Yeah.
But she's like really funny in this, and it's like, well, just make her...
Just let funny.
You're allowed to be funny.
Yeah.
It's not a step down. It's not slumming it.
You're not slumming it.
It's okay to be funny.
I love it. Yeah.
Since no one can be funny now.
Yeah.
It's really grim.
It is grim.
It's fucking grim.
We need our funnies back.
We need some comedies.
That's why I was glad she was goofy. She has a musical number all about Paddington, Peru. That's very wild, and
he does.
You're just like, whoa, what's happening? Once it starts, it's just going, and that's fun.
Why didn't I write it down? At the end of the thing, she also does a Sound of Music reference where she begins to spin.
Yeah, that was nice.
Quite lovely.
She holds a really long note after she throws a guitar in the air. Yes. And then after the long note, she catches it. I was like, that's awesome.
That's a good bit.
It was really nice. It's just nice to see people just lean into wild bits and just, you actually do the payoff of the bit, even if it's silly. Just pay it off. Fully commit.
Truly especially in a movie like this. Mm-hmm. This is a movie with a talking bear at its center.
Exactly.
You can be as silly as you want.
Yeah. That's why I was glad they opened the movie with him taking photos in a little photo booth, and he, of course, gets into a bunch of chaos and like slams his face against the glass, and they take that picture for his passport.
Really
and
good bit.
When they get to Peru, the guy's looking at it, and he's like, and so Paddington, he's like, and he slams his face up against the glass. I was like, that's nice. I was like, I like stuff like that. Just give us a little treat.
Can I drop another funny part on you?
Please.
There's... I don't even remember why he does it. But Mr. Dad, whose name is...
Mr. Brown.
Is it Mr. Brown?
I don't know what
Does he have a last name?
He has a first name.
Henry Brown. That's
Henry,
Henry. It doesn't matter.
What if his first name was Brown?
Ben Whishaw is the voice of Paddington. That's important.
Yes, Ben Whishaw.
He's great. Why is he acting like that? Oh. Hey, you'll have to remind me why he's acting like that.
Okay.
But at some point, Mr. Brown is kind of showing off. I think it's after they decide to go to Peru because he has had this conversation with his boss about how like safety is about taking risks or some shit. I don't know why, but they have that talk.
They have it.
And he like walks away. He's like back at home and he kind of walks away like this. And I'm like, what is he doing? And the son says, it's his hard walk. He does it when the plumber comes over.
Yeah.
It's a good bit.
Great.
Good bit.
I love it. The family, they're doing their best. And
most of them are.
I think, yeah, most of them are.
Actually, I think truly all of them are doing their best.
Yeah. They're doing their best. It's just tough because the last two movies are more about them in London and their relationship with Paddington. And this one's like, no, Paddington's kind of the main focus. And you guys are just also here. But I think some of them have fun arcs. Like the dad, especially, I loved.
Yes.
He keeps confronting this purple spider he's seen in the book, so he's terrified of. And then when they open up the cabin to where they're staying, there's just a dead one like framed on the wall, and he's like, and then at the end he has to open up this hatch and manually lower the landing gear of the plane that they're in. And I love it because at this point I had completely forgot about the spider. Like I wasn't thinking about that at all.
Yes.
And then he opens it, and there's just the spider, the exact spider on top. I was like, oh dang. And then it gets on his face, and his daughter's like, let me take a picture. It's really, it was fun. And I thought that was all great stuff.
That's the power of a deftly used callback.
Yes, please.
And it's difficult to do.
It is.
Without, making it cheese ball or doing it too fast or anything like that.
You can really mess it up.
They brought it back.
I hate when it's messed up and you just go, I didn't quite. Yeah. And that's why you always do it this way. It's like, oh, God. It just doesn't.
Or if it's like a joke that doesn't work at first and you're like, oh, no.
Don't do it again.
Don't bring it back.
Please
don't bring it back.
I hate when they bring it back. Don't bring it back.
Don't bring it back.
Please don't bring it back.
I know that you love to heap praise on a movie.
Yeah.
But are we almost out of the praise lands?
Yes, I had a couple more things to say that I did enjoy.
Please.
I think I loved how you immediately are like, Olivia Colman's the bad guy. Mm-hmm. Then they switch it to her like, oh no, okay, she is actually helping. Mm-hmm. And then they switch it back. No, she is the bad guy. I thought that was nice. I was like, that was a nice one. It was very, very well done.
Yeah.
I liked Antonio Banderas' past selves dying. The montage was really nice.
Yeah.
And I do kind of, we'll get into that later. We'll do it now. I do kind of wish more of the past selves were incorporated in the movie because it's just always the same guy for most of it.
Yeah, it's like the knight.
Yeah, and then suddenly they're all there.
What is he? What are those?
Conquistador.
See?
Conquistador. So I do kind of wish they mixed in more of them, but I like the idea, and I thought it was cool how he was like, and when he says like, he goes, we can't eat him, because he's like talking to his other selves, and Paddington's like, you just said we can't eat him. It's just so funny. I just love stuff like that.
That's simple stuff, but it's effective.
It works. That was great. Paddington and the umbrella, very fun use of the umbrella. Yes. They do that callback to that old silent film where the house falls down.
Oh, yes.
Goes to the window.
Sherlock Jr.
Sherlock Jr. Which one is that? Who is that guy?
That's Buster. Buster Keaton.
I had a feeling.
It's a classic.
But they
wait, no, that's not Sherlock Jr. Sorry, that is. I was so wrong. It is Steamboat Bill Jr.
Whoa.
Sorry. That also has another great bit in it. That is not as good as that bit because that's one of the great bits. But there's one where the wind is blowing. Of course, that's one of the major parts of the thing. And he keeps trying to crawl over a fence. But as he crawls over the fence closes. So he crawls back over to the other edge that he was already on. Like it opens, he crawls back, and then he gets back on it and it opens again.
Oh my gosh.
It's really fucking amazing.
I love that kind of stuff. It just, the futility of effort and life. It's just nice. It's like, that is such a good, like, I've brought it up before, but one of my favorite animations is this Donald Duck trying to go to sleep. And every little thing keeps him awake, and he keeps trying, and it just gets worse and worse. And I love it. It is
Poor Donald.
It's so, you feel so bad for him, but you're howling with joy.
Because you get it, man.
Yeah.
I get it.
I done lived that.
Put a lot of soul on that one, Michael.
Yeah. Paddington in Harlem. No, that's the next one.
They should.
Now that they've started this, because this isn't Paddington 3, by the way. This is Paddington in Peru.
Now
that they're doing in heaven, maybe could be the last one. He goes to heaven. Maybe, you never know. There's Paddington.
There's an old movie, not that old, it's from like the 70s, but there's an old book and movie called Cotton Comes to Harlem.
Whoa.
And maybe it could be Paddington Comes to Harlem.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Could be.
Really insane
Paddington
book.
in space?
That would be great.
Like it's like kind of 2001, but more Paddington themed. The family. That'd be kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, just some ideas.
I'll watch it.
Hal, could you open the pod bay door so I could get some marmalade? I can't do that.
Hal, could you open the pod bay doors, please? I don't know what voice I'm doing. It's almost a beetle, right?
Almost. Oh. I like that they brought back that dude who always plays the silly bits. He wasn't in it enough, sadly. Just a quick.
He was in it for like 1 second.
Yeah, I was like, oh. But
he was, however, in Wonka quite a bit.
Yes, that guy's
playing
great.
The same character.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? Are they? Do you think they're in the same world? Same universe?
I know they are. I have proof.
What?
I have proof.
What do you mean?
I don't have proof. I was just saying it.
But it is the same guy, right?
It's the same guy. He's like, do-boo-doo-doo, bo-bo-doo.
He is like that. He's exactly like that.
Anyway.
Do you have anything else kind to say about this movie?
I think that's it. I think that's everything. There's probably bits I forgot, but that's the nature of it.
You know what sucks about this movie?
What?
And I've been saying it about a lot of movies so far this year.
Tell me.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine, yeah.
It's fine, and really the worst thing is it's not number 2.
Yeah.
Like, it is just... I know that everyone who makes movies wants to make money, and I understand that. I want to make money. I would love to have money. And so they're like, well, this thing works. We can... it's not exactly a cookie cutter, but we can get close to it. We can use some of the same ideas in a new movie, in a new place. And it just doesn't work as well.
Yeah, really.
And now, I mean, I know that that's how they make money. Is they continue to do movies, and often are a sequel or a prequel or a requel or some sort of IP kind of thing. But I feel like sometimes you just have to not do it.
I agree.
I mean, it's like once you make a movie like Paddington 2, which even for the people out there who don't like it, it is well regarded.
Yeah.
There are many people who really, really like it or even love it. And it's just going to be disappointing for a lot of people.
It's so hard.
It's not a huge disappointment, but it's a little.
Yeah, because you're just like, there's just no... It's like, I mean, there's a lot of people who aren't as into Shrek as maybe I am, but Shrek 2...
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Shrek 2, it's like, okay, you just did the ultimate form of Shrek. Like,
yeah, you already did Shrek.
There's no stopping Shrek 2. So Shrek 3 is no matter what going to be worse than Shrek 2. Like, there's no way you could make it better. Yeah. And it was. It's got fun moments, but it feels almost like... You know how, like, Disney movies had those spin-off movies that only were on, like, TV or whatever?
Yes.
Like, it starts to feel like that, where you're like, here's another adventure, but it doesn't really add
Return of
much.
Jafar.
Yeah, Return of Jafar. Return of Prince Charming in that one. It's just like, this doesn't quite do it anymore. Maybe we've already done it, and it's over.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I know that is completely... the antithesis of the way it works to make movies.
Yeah, exactly.
And, like, there are some original properties and there are some that are not. And, even Wonka, which is not an original property, but, they sort of tried. But it's just like, well, we did this. Mm-hmm. And especially if it's, like, something that is pretty formulaic, like Paddington 1 and 2, which are very similar in many ways.
Yes.
But they just kind of change the things that happen a little bit, and Hugh Grant is just much better than all other things.
Yes.
So, like, he makes it so much better by being so amazing.
Yeah, he crushes.
And even though Antonio Banderas is great, I love him, he's not quite as good as... I mean, he's not anywhere near as good as Hugh Grant is in the second one.
And his character just isn't... It's just not as interesting or fun, and
he never quite seems as crazed as you think he should be.
Exactly. Yeah, I wish
if you're so desperate for gold and you've got like multiple personality disorder and people are inside of your brain always saying like, do this, like you should be pretty twitchy or freaky or something.
I wish he was more like that, where he would actually embody the different selves. Like, that would have been amazing. Like, he just suddenly is these... Yeah, that would be so much fun. And they could even film it to where he looks like it during... Like, when he's that character, he looks like the priest. Which I did like when the priest and the choir are all just singing into quicksand. Like, they're all just standing there. They all just sing. I was like, this is so dumb. But I love it. You just can't beat... How do you beat Hugh Grant or the Fairy Godmother? You can't. Those are just the best bad guys. I'm sorry. You can't beat it. It's
now, as I say that, though, there are times, like Die Hard 2 is not as good as Die Hard.
No.
It's not really even nearly close to as good as Die Hard, but it does rule.
Yeah.
And then Die Hard 3...
You're like, whoa.
Probably not as good as Die Hard either, but sometimes when you watch it, you're like, maybe this is good is this as good as Die Hard?
Yeah.
So sometimes it does work out.
Yes.
I admit that. But
it does.
Often, if you make a movie where people are like, God, this thing, I love this fucking movie, it's just rare that the next one's going to be, as good.
It's very true, because they're just stretching it. You just movies aren't like taffy, You're gonna run out of stretching, or maybe it is like taffy, but it's just once you stretch so thin, it's just like, what am I putting in my mouth? Thread? It just, what is the point? Ugh. It's like the opposite of floss. It's like making pudding sugar between your teeth. That's
Is
bad.
this gum thread?
Gum thread.
Where y'all get this gum thread?
I don't like gum thread.
What's the worst part of this movie? The lo mein, Mampy.
Okay, so I feel like mine is really obvious because I even had an issue with this before the movie was released.
I know.
You know exactly what it is. And I hate to say it because nothing against the actor. They got to replace the mom.
I'll find her.
She really tried her best. I've seen her in lots of stuff. I think she's great.
Her name is Emily Mortimer.
I love her in Lars and the Real Girl. She's great in that.
I mean, she's a really good actress.
She's good. She
might have even been good if she was in the first two.
Yes, if she had just been there the whole time, maybe. But it's just that just did not work for me. I really
She
struggled.
is the second lead in all of those movies.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I mean, or at least the biggest side character.
Yeah.
Or, the biggest supporting character.
You're like, oh, hey, what's up?
And she is that in this, too. It's the same actress but just a different actress being the most important part of the movie.
Yeah.
And it's like especially weird because it's like we replaced the actress and we're still going to make her just as important as she was in the other movies.
Yeah.
And she doesn't really act like the other mother. And
no.
Which is fine. It is fine, but it is, another one of the reasons where I just don't do it.
It just doesn't, when the family is such an important part of why the last two worked.
Yes.
It's just like, you can't just, I'll just replace you real quick. The chemistry's not the same.
No.
The character, the way they perform, like, Sally Hawkins has such a interesting, like, I don't know, like, frail, but, like, strongness thing.
Yes.
That just isn't there anymore. And you're like, I miss that.
She also has like a very naked emotion. Like she really is like very openly emotional, and I think this mom is about that, but like just not the same maybe.
Yeah, it just doesn't quite hit. And then it's just tough when there's scenes that would be really cool where they're like remembering things. Like, oh, all the time we spent on the couch. And it's like this cool painting animation, but you're like, well, that's not the mom from the other movie.
Yeah,
so,
I remember her.
Or like they do a flashback to when they first find Paddington. It just has like almost no weight because you're like, well, you weren't there.
Yeah, like, I remember that part.
I know you weren't there. Yeah. And I was like, I was for a second like, are they just going to show Sally Hawkins?
I mean, maybe they should.
This is like the one time where I'm like voting for AI, like, yeah, just put her in the movie instead.
This is like really a don't make the movie if you don't have it.
That's how I feel. I was like, just don't make it. I would rather there not have been this. I'm just going to be real. I would rather this movie not exist if it can't have her, because it just doesn't work. It just doesn't. It feels so weird. They should have either. I mean, it wouldn't. I don't think that would have worked either to make her like I'm some other character, unless she was just in Peru. But
yeah,
there's no way the mom wouldn't go. It just, especially the second one, like the. Spoiler if you haven't seen it, but in the second one they have such a touching thing where she's like trying to save Paddington and she just realizes like, oh, I can't save you, and like there's this like, that was just so, I'm like, oh my gosh, and then you're just like, new lady. Like, that doesn't work for me.
There's also a moment like they're at the end of this movie and they're all they think that Paddington is going to stay with these other bears, with his tribe. And which is, I think, still works pretty well. Yeah. I think it works fine. But there are moments where, like, the blocking is very weird in this last part, where they're just, like, standing next to each other.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, they should be, like, this is a sad thing that is happening to them. They should be consoling each other, holding each other, or whatever. But, like, the father and the mother and the little daughter are just, like, standing next to each other. Yeah. They're standing close to each other, but they're not, like... It's like, you guys have no connection. Like, you literally, obviously, figuratively, whatever, maybe it doesn't work, but they just aren't touching each other. It's a really weird thing for a family to do. Especially, they have spent, I don't know, 3 days going through the jungle. and they're finally like saved or what, they've reached the end of their journey, you would think that they would have some sort of communal feelings or familial love they're just like, here I am. Just
the
standing
movie's over.
next to my wife. Close, but not touching. I wouldn't touch my wife.
Nope.
No.
My wife that was replaced by aliens or something. And we're all acting like it's not. I also think that the son and daughter, like, they just don't have much to do in this one, which was kind of a bummer because I feel like the first two just do such a good job of making every character matter and like doing their own thing. And even like when the son is important, where he like, has to use his invention, it just comes out of nowhere, and you're like, what? Like, this doesn't... Which I'm okay with cartoon logic sometimes, but that especially was like, oh, they're in like a dire situation, and then just suddenly he just has this invention. I was like, this is kind of weird. Though I did like the part where the big branch... Like, they're like, oh, we're going to be fine. And then the big branch like hits the window of the plane and they're all screaming. That was nice. That was nice. But yeah, so the family stuff, the mom especially, lo mein, I was just like, oh, bummer.
Can I tell you what may actually be the worst part of this movie?
What? Tell me.
This is what is possibly the lowest of the low mein. Paddington falls. I think it's in the scene with the little medallion and the bracelet. When they're in the boat. And he falls. And he says, oh, I'm okay.
I was waiting for that. Yeah, I was like, oh, God.
Get the fuck out of here.
Why?
I mean, this is definitely on our list.
How does that stuff make it into movies anymore? Like, script soup, go, ugh, no.
Yeah. I mean, especially I don't truly understand how movies are made, but the way they're described is lots of people are working on them. And many of them have power over the script, or at least some power.
Exactly.
They're able to go, let's not some of the, I don't know, at least 3 people who had the power to change the script, someone should have gone, I'm okay. That's been in maybe 50% of the cartoons of the last 20 years. It's been probably in literally every trailer for a kids movie.
Probably.
It's in almost every trailer for a kids movie where I haven't even seen the movies, and I know that they say I'm okay in it.
Yeah, run into something. I'm okay.
I'll
be all right. Yeah. Oh, God. Guess it's that way. Wrong way. I think it wasn't in Wonka where the guy's just like, that's going to leave a mark. Or and you're just like, oh, God.
Yes.
Like when
he's right behind me, isn't he? But it's never...
they did that one in Deadpool, and I was like, ugh, really?
Why isn't it at least do a good version of it? Like, do something where you're like, oh, isn't this an overused joke?
Yes.
And I guess they're sort of trying to do that in Deadpool, but it's just like...
it just still doesn't work. It's just like,
Yeah.
I also had a problem with, like, he puts... I like the idea of, like, the little medallion is, like, the coin machine of the photo. Yeah. That was funny. But then it's just, like, he just has it back at the end, and you're like, wait, didn't you insert it into the...
Yeah.
And so that was kind of weird. And, like, the kind of retcon, at least from my memory, of, like, oh, he had it around his ankle the whole time. It's like... I don't think he did. I watched those movies. I don't remember that.
I feel like I would have remembered a bracelet.
Yeah, but I'm like, okay, sure, why not? Maybe there is. Maybe I'm wrong. And what is it? Is it called eating crow? Maybe
You're about to eat some crow, bitch.
Yeah, write in if you have seen Paddington 2 lately and know if there is, in fact, a bracelet or an anklet, I suppose.
They're going to do the ET thing. Where they just like put it in, and they're gonna add the blue lady.
That is, I've never seen a director spit on their own thing more than I like. It's
shit is crazy.
Jesus, you made it so much. This is what I would have done. Oh, thank God you had limitations because this is awful.
Yeah.
Somebody, man, that guy, wow. If you get enough yeses, you really turn into like a horrible artist.
Man, oh man. Have you seen THX?
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's a good one.
Really fucking good movie.
And
the stuff in that, the CG stuff in that is fucking insane. It just,
I can't imagine.
it just looks like shit.
Yeah, I haven't seen that version. Yeah,
It fucking sucks. And like yet again, like now that is the only thing you can watch, and it's especially weird because like that's a tiny movie.
Yeah,
they made it for not very much money, which is cool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then like they add a few things. Like they add I think they add like a fake helicopter shot of them driving at the end, like through like a city. When they're like in the original, they're just like driving through tunnels and stuff.
Yeah,
it's super cool and like it's claustrophobic and weird, and they're just in the tunnels, and it gives you this like dystopian future sense because like why are they just in the tunnels?
Yeah.
And then this is just like, oh, there's a little weird toy car. Is that one of the cars from Cars the movie? Because it has a similar look to the cars from Cars the movie.
It might be.
And then they cut back to just like a beautifully shot thing in a tunnel. It's like, you fuckers.
This ain't working, y'all.
Fucking asshole.
This ain't gonna work.
Do you have any other comments to make about Paddington?
Yeah, the last thing I did not like about Paddington 3 was at the end, they're like wrapping up everyone's stories, and then they're like, and Mrs. Bird stayed to take care of all this stuff, and then she's like, and disco party, and I was like, what? And they play and I was like, this is not.
Yeah.
It's not like the vibe of Paddington at all. Like, it's just like, what is this? It's freaking Johnny Depp as the Mad Hatter doing like Thriller dance at the end of that fucking. It's just like, what is this?
It's a real I'm okay bit.
Bad. Bad.
It sucks.
Not good.
But we can't only talk about Paddington in Peru. We have to go to a segment called Panda Express Presents Express Yourself about the movies you watched this week. Would you play that?
Ding 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 bang bang bang. It's time for the Panda Express boop boop because we got some things expressed boop boop about the things we watched this week. Marmalade. Marmalade.
Did you watch any other films this week?
So I did not watch a film, but I did see a Broadway performance.
What?
Of Wicked. I took my lady to see that.
I bet it was amazing.
It was very fun. You know, Broadway shows are just a blast. You're just like, wow, they really went for it. There's some kooky stuff where you're like, wow, that was better in the movie because they could actually do it. But you know, like the magic and stuff in the play.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
people are just like, whoa. This is hilarious.
That sounds fun.
But the really cool number where she's like first flying or whatever, you're like, oh, this is cool in the play. I was like, damn.
Would you say that it makes the movie seem like a piece of shit? Because that is just what I assume.
It's weird because there's parts of it that are better, and then there's parts of it that are worse.
Okay.
I feel like Cynthia did it, like, is a better performance in the movie, like, singing-wise. Mm-hmm. Even though this lady was good, it was just, you know, your typical, like, I'm on Broadway type thing. So it was weird. I don't know. I go back and forth. I think it's more successful when they are just animals rather than people as animals, but you can't have animals on the stage in Broadway. I don't know if you knew that. But spoiler, I do know how it ends now.
Oh.
Gotta wait for part 2. I know.
Oh, shit.
I will say.
That means we don't have to watch the second one.
You don't.
That's great news.
Yeah. The songs of the first half are better. That's all I'll say.
Oh, no.
All right.
We're really fucked.
Wrap this up.
All right. We get to watch 4 more hours.
4 more hours. Dude.
I watched a few movies this week, but I would like to speak to you about 2.
Tell me.
1, Becoming Led Zeppelin.
Ooh, never seen it.
A doc that is out now about Led Zeppelin. It is the first official Led Zeppelin documentary, and it's kind of mediocre.
Okay.
Actually, it's pretty mediocre. I wouldn't say it's awful, but it's only them telling their own story.
Oh, interesting.
And they are fucking... I mean, they may literally be 70 years old.
Yeah, or more.
So it's like... They're kind of like, oh yeah, I remember when we went on that tour. It's like, get a fucking historian out here or some shit.
Yeah, that's weird.
Somebody wrote down on a piece of paper what happened that day. Have him fill them in a little bit. Mm-hmm. So it's just kind of stupid.
Yeah.
And it's called Becoming Led Zeppelin because it's like through their second album.
Oh.
So it's like, okay, I think they probably want to do some grand trilogy of documentaries or something, or maybe just two, being Led Zeppelin and whatever. But, yeah, it's just kind of like, okay, and then they made a second album, and people liked them. And there's just weird shit, like they clearly didn't have enough footage.
Yeah.
Because they would play the same footage over and over again.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. And they even had 2 different performances of the same song.
Oh, weird.
And they would, like, use the same footage in different performances of songs because they didn't have any video of the sound performances. And it was just like, well, if you don't have it, you don't have it.
Yeah.
You know, just, I don't know, just play it over some still pictures or something. But, like, they were doing that thing where they kind of try to cut together singing a different song into where they're just like,
yeah.
He makes an movie. That's sort of like, when he makes the noise, that's sort of like when he makes the noise in that other song.
Yeah.
It's just like, this is fucking stupid.
That was like in that David Bowie Moon Dream, whatever day. They used the same footage maybe 10 to 15 times. I was like, okay, how many times?
It's insane. Especially with, like, bands like that. I don't know. Maybe they don't have a lot of early Led Zeppelin footage.
Yeah.
But, fuck, it sucked.
I think I might be past music docs, music bio. It just always makes me like them less. And I just think I might have to just stop watching.
Yeah. I mean, there are some interesting parts, but it's all the interesting stuff is like the stuff that I nerd out about, like that I think is cool. Like Robert Plant and Jimmy Page were talking about like actually recording the thing.
Yeah.
Like recording the albums and the way that, like, where they put the mics and that kind of thing, which I think is cool.
Yeah, that's just fun.
But it's just kind of,
Yeah, kind of.
It's like 4 old guys talking about when they were kids.
Exactly.
And they don't remember very much about it. It's like, okay.
Old.
Yeah, they're fucking
they're
old.
Like, I don't know.
Oh, we went. Then I remember I played the bass. Yeah, you were the bass player. Yes.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, I remember that.
Good job, Grandpa. You were the bass player. Then I watched The Warriors on home video.
Whoa.
Have you seen The Warriors?
Never, but I've seen a clip. One clip.
The Come Out to Play one?
Come Out to Play.
That one is really good.
Never seen the movie, though.
There's also a great Can You Dig It thing.
Ooh, I like that.
Just one of the finest Can You Dig It things.
You dig it?
I was struck this time by how much this movie is not only like a cool action movie about warring gangs, but is also about like socialism and is about like taking the power back. Whoa. And is about like how much the cops set us against each other, and also about like, you know, class. A lot of it is about class. So, and I mean, a lot of it is maybe overplaying it. Some of it is about class.
Yeah.
Like there's especially a moment right near the end where you're like, oh shit, this movie is about something. And even though, you know, it sort of doesn't feel like it's about something through a lot of it, because it's just like cool gangs fighting each other for a lot of it.
Yeah.
But it kicks ass. Really good movie.
That sounds awesome.
It's just good.
Sounds
I don't know
great.
what else to tell you.
Yeah.
What do you want from me, Mampy?
Hey, no, you told me everything.
Dude.
Everything.
Fuck you, dude. I believe.
I was just going to say, this isn't a movie, but this is movie related. I also went to the Museum of the Moving Image, and there were some cool moments. They had in Blade Runner, the side of that building, whatever.
Yeah.
It was there. They had the like model, and I was like, whoa. And they had all the heads from Starman, where he like grows up, like from a kid baby to, and I was like, whoa, this is cool. I was like, what in the world?
That's cool. Fun. Do they call it Mommy or Mommy?
Mommy? Oh, yeah, I guess it would be.
Mommy.
Mommy. I want to go see Mommy.
I want to go see Mommy.
That's pretty neat.
I believe next week we're watching The Monkey.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't it almost monkey time?
I think it's monkey time.
I have seen The Monkey, but I'm going to watch it again because it's pretty fun.
All right, let's do Monkey.
Yeah. So tweet at us at Food Court Cast, write us a review, give us 5 stars, tell your friends, retweet, share it on all your social medias. We would love that.
Please.
And if you want us to not watch The Monkey, just go ahead and let us know.
Yes.
And if you want Mampy to not watch The Monkey, just send direct messages to him, please.
We don't want you to watch that. Okay. You
but
specifically.
Mampy? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you specifically. I can watch it, and then you have to listen to me talk about the movie.
Yeah, what if we both just start watching 2 different movies, and then we just, for 30 minutes you tell me about it, and then 30 minutes I tell you.
Just tell me about it. It's just a podcast called Tell Me About It.
Tell me about it.
Tell me about it.
A spin-off podcast from the podcast you already love. Oh, no.
If you like Food Court, you might love Tell Me About It.
The only thing worse than having one podcast is having 2.
Though someday when we're really rich podcasters, I do want to finally go through with my Crying in the Dark podcast. Just about tearjerker movies.
If you have proof that you have success from something, you can do it in many of them.
That's true. That is true.
I love it, though.
It's a good idea.
That would be every movie I watch these days.
Tweet at me at Food Court Cast or at Sean Parrott if you want to hear that podcast.
I would listen to it.
It's just a movie where I talk to people about a movie that made them cry.
That's good.
Sounds nice. I don't know what the categories are, but there's going to be categories. Mampy?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks so much for doing it.
Of course.
It's such a pleasure to podcast with you.
Anytime.
Well, on behalf of you, Mampy Hikes, I'm Sean Parrott, saying to everyone out there, bon appetit.